All right, let's move on. So we've been able to recover forward rates from spot rates. Now we're going to go and get spot rates from forward rates. Right? Suppose we have all the forward rates, I0, k minus 1, comma k, for k equals 1 through n. We'd like the yield rates. So as before, we're going to make an interest rate timeline. And that's going to give us our equation. So given for n, for example, with the forward rates, this is the current forward rate, then the forward rate from years 1 to 2, years 2 to 3, and so on, up to years n minus 1 to n, or periods instead of years. You all know the drill. And the spot rate would be an annual rate that would take us from time 0 to time n in one swoop. By a similar arbitrage argument, by the exact same arbitrage argument, these two paths have to be equal. Okay, so I'm going to skip the arbitrage argument and say that that just implies this equation right here. 1 plus n to the nth has to be equal to the product of all of these separate growth factors associated with the forward rates. So you can just take an nth root. And then, of course, subtract 1. So as before, I don't recommend memorizing. I recommend just understanding the difference between a forward rate and a spot rate, and then you can use those to construct these timelines and get the equations down and solve them in any particular problem. So, as before, we'll look at a quick example. So here are our forward rates. We're going to make and then plot the yield curve. So as before, the first forward rate and the first spot rate are always going to be equal. After that, we just use our formula or our timeline. So pause here and find the yield curve and sketch a plot before you continue. Did you pause? I hope you paused, and I hope you worked it out. Let's see what we get. So as before, we use the methodology we just described, and we filled in the table. Of course, the first one's the same, and we just put these yield curves in. Just put these answers in. I'll let you compare these answers with yours. And we can, of course, plot them, and it's got this general look. Kind of has that concavity that I often put in the yield curves. So that's all I'm going to do in this video. In the next video, we're going to go through some sample problems.